Hey guys, so I'm just gonna do a very quick video, or at least try to make it quick, on how I make some assets, 2D assets for my game, right? So for example, this line art I actually did in Illustrator, so if you guys want to see how I do that, more or less, or the process I go with it, um, let me know, because there's a lot of things I do in Illustrator and then pass them over to Photoshop and just edit them. Now the line art, I do prefer to do it in Illustrator. Yes, I know you can do that in Photoshop, but the one thing I like about Illustrator is that it's a vector program, right? So you can scale it up or scale it down and it keeps the same quality. Whereas if you do it in Photoshop, you can scale from higher to lower, but if you try and scale up, it's going to lose some of the quality. So earlier I actually did something like this, for example, in a previous video actually, because I recorded this a billion times, and yeah. So anyways, enough about that. What I do is I make the line art, right, and here is the line art. So I'm just going to use the wand tool and then select it. Then I go to select and expand using two pixels. Now I'm going to create another layer. You can go here, or made a shortcut a little bit easier. Anyways, so create a new layer and just fill it in. So I'm gonna use the gradient I have now. So it's lighter on the top, darker on the bottom. So that does not look like a building at all. It just looks like, yeah, something. So what I do is I actually go to, where is it? There we go. I go to textures.com. For example, I go to buildings, or whatever. It depends on what you're making, right? So you just go to buildings, select it, and just find something that's tileable. So depending on what you're going for, you might use old apartments or whatnot, right? So I have these textures here. So what I do is I just drag it and drop it, but before I drop it, I press Control Alt Shift, and there you go. Then Alt and Shift to scale it up evenly, and there you go. So before I do this next step, you want to rasterize it, so it makes it go from a smart object to just a regular layer. Press Alt and in between the two layers, and there you go. All right, so here it just looks like I took the texture and just made it into this, so it doesn't look very realistic. So now I'm gonna go into the layers effects, I guess you could call it. I don't use, like, I know what stuff does in Photoshop, I just don't remember what it's called, and I'm just going to change that to multiply. You can go through and select different options, right? You can select different effects, I guess you could say, like color burn, and depending on what you're going for, right? Now this looks good, or it looks okay, but still it's So I'm gonna go here, use the dodge tool. Is it dodge? Yeah, burn tool, sorry. I'm gonna zoom in, and then since these are broken, or at least that's how it should look, I'm just gonna go on the side, like on the edges, and use the burn tool to make it a little darker. Now the burn tool is really good to be able to make darker areas, maybe shadows as well, depending on what you're going for, right? So again, I'm just gonna go on the edges and just darken that, like maybe there was an explosion or something, I don't know. So yeah, just go through and edit it to give it a little bit more of an effect. Now, it's good for the it's good for like the edges and stuff, but don't just do the edges. Do the inside as well. And then yeah. So I was going to say the nice thing about it is that you can just move this and it just like yeah. But as you can tell, I also colored in that spot, so you don't want to move it. So anyways, going back to the burn tool. Now I'm going to just darken these areas a little bit so it looks a little bit more run down, a little bit more ruined. And my computer's running a little slow, so I do apologize for that. And this takes up so much, or I'm sorry, not takes up, saves so much time. Depending on what style you're going for your 2D assets. So for me, for the game I'm working on, this works pretty well. Like, it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic. Sorry about the dogs in the background. They're not mine. They're actually my neighbors, and they're very loud. So yeah. Anyways, so so the type of style for my game is pretty much just that, right? It's kind of apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, and just doing this, just using the burn tool and going in, darkening a few areas here and there, it starts to look more run down, which is exactly what I'm going for. Yes, you can find other textures that are, for example, that are already like this maybe, or it might not be the style you're going for. But again, this is just one of the ways you can do a 2D asset without actually taking a long time. Now, right now, I did a little bit of like darkening certain areas, and you can tell it makes a huge difference. For example, I'm just gonna group these two. Nope. I'm just gonna group these two, and I think this is no. I think this is well. By the way, I did this earlier as a background for like in the Unity project that I'm gonna be showing you. And it looks like it goes with it, to be honest. But anyways, so I'm going to hide this. And as you can tell, this is before making that change on a different layer, by the way, a different project. But after you darken it, it looks like this. So let me show you the one I was working on originally with. As you can tell, this is okay. Maybe like without the crack or whatever, you could probably do a... a building, and that's it, right? But you can tell it makes so much of a difference doing it this way. See? And for example, there's another building without the like red, which is black and white, and there's a reason I'm doing that too. So for example, I'm just gonna go ahead and export this, and again, sorry about that. So turn off the background and just file, save for web. You always want to do save for web, and I already had it scaled to 3840 by 2160. So you want to bring that down 50%, which is going to be the 1920 by 1080. And yeah, hold on. So my computer is running a little slow. All right, so there we go. 50%. Wait for it to Load, there we go. And then just save it wherever you're going to be saving your assets, right? All right, so now in Unity, when you have the folder there, make sure you change it to multiple, right? Apply, and then go to the sprite editor, and then slice automatically, slice, and then apply, right? So that way you have your artwork separated. All right. So now you can actually start dragging everything into Unity. Well, into your scene, sorry. All right. So I'm just gonna move this here. I'm gonna move this here. And there we go. I'm also gonna add this with the background. And you always want to use layers. Layers are an amazing feature, right? So, for example, I'm just going to do one layer for background, and then another layer for, let's see, midground, I guess, and then another layer for foreground. Why not for right now? Anyways, so I'm just going to go here, put this as background, and then these as midground. And there you go. So if you did have any issues like that, now you always want to do this. You always want to make them, for example, this is going to be the layer 0, this is going to be layer 1, and then layer 2. Because you could have, depending on how you want them to appear, for example, this one's bigger, so this one's probably going to be more in the front. And then these two are pretty much almost the same size. So I maybe should change that one to layer 0. But anyways, so one thing I want to mention is that since this is black and white, the reason I did it black and white is because that way I can go in and change the color, do an overlay for it, right? Yeah, that doesn't go well. Let's do it a little orangey. And then again, it depends on what you're going for, but right? So anyways, so there's that. I'm just going to undo that because I like the original. So yeah, that's pretty much the quick video I wanted to do for you guys to do one type of 2D art. Now, I am going to do another one that is going to be a little bit cartoonish and more custom. This is just a quick way to make 2D assets that, again, depending on what you're going for, it could help. There are millions of textures that you can try out and find, and this is just a quick way to do a mock-up or even to do quick assets that you need right away, right? So if you didn't know, there you go. If you did, then thank you for watching, I guess. Anyway, so if you like the video, hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll keep trying to do more videos like this. I hope you guys liked it, and see you soon.